Hello and welcome to this webcast, part 2 in a 4-part series on job readiness, hosted by National ABLE Network in partnership with Student Veterans of America, Illinois chapters. My name is Len Harris. I'm the Program Director for Veterans Forward here at National ABLE Network. And we're going to go through the important task of networking in this webcast. You know, I made my transition not too long ago from the military. And like many of you student vets out there, you're going to be making a transition from being a student vet into the civilian sector. It's not unlike the transition that I made. And what I found is, above and beyond everything else, the value of networking is really what's going to lead to your job success. I had the same misconception I think that a lot of people did, which is finding a job today means going online, applying for positions online, and waiting for a phone call. And after doing some research on that, as I went to my job search, I discovered statistics that show people that use that as a primary method of finding a job, going online, searching in Monster and those types of things, are successful in landing a position about 3 to 5% of the time. I was stunned by that. And as I did more research, I found out what really makes a difference in today's economy, and yesterday's for that matter, and tomorrow's, is the ability to develop, nurture, and leverage a personal and professional network. That is really the key to you finding job success. And understand, when I say job success, it doesn't mean you can find a job a number of ways. Job success is finding the right job for you. So with that, we're going to get into the presentation now as we talk about the power of networking. First, a quick overview of what we're going to be talking about. I'll talk a little bit about the Veterans Forward program, what is networking and why it's important, how to network effectively, and then at the end, I'll give you some networking tips. First off, I'd like to introduce the team that we have here at National ABLE, the Veterans Forward team. These photos are a little dated, some dated more than others, but if you take a look, one of the things that we pride ourselves on here at the Veterans Forward program is our team is 100% veterans helping veterans. I've got everybody from Air Force, our CEO, Grace Powers. We have Army, Navy, and we've got Kat Caraway down here, our token Marine. Hoorah. These are the 3 pillars that we focus on with job search assistance with all of our veteran clients: career coaching, job search development, and connecting them with employers. The way I like to explain it in the most simplistic terms, in career coaching, we help you build a fishing pole. In job search development, we show you how to fish. And then in connecting with employers, we give you a big bucket of fish to fish in. Can't guarantee that you're going to find something, but certainly try to make it a little bit easier for you. If you take a look at the topics that are here in red, these are topics that are going to be covered in future SVA Illinois webinars and webcasts. All right, with that said, let's get right into it. What is networking? This definition I got online somewhere, but I thought it was very meaningful. Networking is the development and maintenance of mutually valuable relationships. And those keywords in red there, you know, development. It takes time. Meeting somebody and exchanging a business card with them is not a new network. It's just the development of it. Maintenance. It takes time to build it over time. When you meet somebody, you need to continue to follow up with them so that you can help develop that relationship. And then mutually valuable. This is extremely important. You know, a lot of times, especially as a job seeker, we think that we don't have anything to offer somebody who's trying to help us in our job search. But just sometimes the willingness to offer help makes that relationship mutually valuable. Here at the bottom, you see what my definition of networking is. Networking is any and every conversation that you have that might lead to future possibilities. And notice in there, I didn't put might lead to a future job offer, because there's lots of things that you can get out of a networking experience. I take myself as an example. When I moved here to the Chicago area about 18 months ago, I didn't know anybody. I didn't know what businesses were here. So I was kind of starting from scratch. And when I went out and did my networking, it was a chance for me to find out information about the Chicago area. What kind of businesses are here? What is the state of some of the different industries here? So it was an information gathering opportunity for me. And it did eventually, as I nurtured those relationships, lead to some job opportunities for me. So it's not always just about leading directly to a job. So why is networking important? You've heard the phrase, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And how many folks out there believe that? Just about everybody, right? Well, I can tell you that is dead wrong. It's not who you know that's important. It's who knows you that really makes a difference. You know, you can know somebody. For example, I had a chance to meet President Obama, shake his hand. I know him very well. I see him on TV all the time, but he doesn't know me. That doesn't do me any good as a job seeker if the person that I'm networking with doesn't know who I am as an individual, know what I bring to the table, know what my experience and my background is, you know how I present myself. So your goal in any networking experience is to become what is called the known candidate, somebody that other people know. Other reasons that networking is important. Number one, finding hidden job opportunities. And as I made my transition, this number right here was a bit of a shock to me. Did you know that 80% of all jobs that are filled every year are never announced anywhere? They're not on monster.com. They're not on Career Builder or job boards. These jobs are filled internally, largely through referrals. And you're not going to be able to tap into that hidden job market if you're not a known candidate. As I mentioned in the previous slide, networking allows you to become more informed. In our last webcast, we talked about developing a target company list. How are you going to know which companies you want to work for if you don't have an opportunity to talk to people that have some hands-on experience in those organizations? Also, networking can lead to a referral. Referral is when you're interested in a job and somebody that you know or that knows you, more importantly, throws your name in the hat, gives your resume to the hiring manager, or brings you up at a meeting. About 7% of all applicants for any job are referred by somebody else for that job, which is not much. So 7 out of 100 applicants are referrals for a position. However, of the people that get hired, almost half of them are referred candidates. That gives you a good idea of how important it is to be the known candidate. And where you can network. A lot of times I hear from our job-seeking clients, well, I don't want to go out and put on a suit and go out to some club and shake hands with a bunch of people I don't know. There are all kinds of places for you to network. You can network with your friends and your family. You can network with your neighbors. Those of you that go to church, that's a great place to network. Those people already know you. They already care about you and want to see you do well. Have you talked to those people at church about the fact that you're looking for a job? That might be a great way to start. For all of the student vets out there, you already have an alumni program, right? Your school has an alumni program. You can use those contacts in the Alumni Association to help in your networking efforts. One of the biggest ways to develop a network is through volunteering. If you are a volunteer, think about it. You're already going to be meeting new people all the time, and you're going to get a chance to talk to them on a day-to-day basis. They're going to get to find out about you. They know you're volunteering also, so they know that you're not employed full-time. And then you can also use your social networks. Facebook. We had a client, and I mentioned this to him, and he tried it. He went on Facebook, posted in there that, hey, I just went to this great seminar where I learned about job readiness, and I'm looking for a position in blank. Anybody out there have any ideas, let me know. These are people that already know him. And within a day, he got like 30 different responses. Hey, have you tried this? Hey, give me a call. Hey, I have a friend who knows somebody looking for somebody like you. So those people are already out there and you've already met them. Meetup.com is another great social network. This is not a dating site. I know it kind of sounds like that, but for those of you that are unfamiliar with meetup.com, You can sign up for meetup.com for free. And when you go in there, it's going to ask you, what are some things that you like to do? Maybe you like to rock climb or collect baseball cards or wine taste or something like that. It's going to ask you what some of your interests are. And then based on that, it's going to send you invitations with other people who enjoy the same things that you do throughout your area. So, you might be interested in mountain biking, for example. It'll say, hey, the Chicago mountain biking group is meeting up at such and such park at this time. Come on out if you want to join us. You can go out there. You're going to meet some new people. You might make some new friends. You already know that you have something in common with them, so you've got something to talk about. But it's a chance for you to also become known to a new group of individuals. And of course, it's here under social, although it kind of bridges the gap between social and professional. And that is LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a great resource for networking. You still need to do some follow-up through phone or email or preferably in person, but it's a great way to find people to network with. On the professional side, networking events are great. Just about every city has networking events going on all the time. Some of them are free. Some of them are minimal cost. Some of them are geared towards veterans, and some of those are not geared towards anybody in particular. If you're interested in a certain field, say IT, for example, you can go and Google IT networking events in your city, and you're bound to find some in there. The great thing about networking events is everybody that goes to these has the same objective, which is to meet new people. So you know that the people there are not just going to shun you because they don't know you. They don't know a lot of people there, and that's their purpose for going. Job fairs also have some value in networking. You have a lot of companies there, especially if those are the companies that you've targeted with your target company list. You can go there and you can meet some of the people that actually work for those organizations. Depending on the career field that you're going into, professional associations can be very helpful too. For example, here in Chicago, if you're looking to go into human resources, for example, there's the Human Resources Management Association of Chicago. If you're an IT professional, there's an IT association here also. If you're looking to go into psychology or medicine, there's other professional associations. And a lot of the associations have what they call in-transition or job seeker rates. So it's cheaper to join if you're a person who's in transition or looking for a job. But once you sign up, now you are part of a group of individuals in the field that you want to work, most of whom are already employed, but they'll have different seminars and get-togethers, and that's a great opportunity for you to go meet new people. Informational interviews is another one of the great ways to become a known candidate. And for those of you unfamiliar with an informational interview, let's say, for example, you want to work at Coca-Cola, but you don't know anybody at Coca-Cola, so you know that trying to apply for a job there is, you're going to have a 3 to 5% chance of getting in there, right? So what you do instead is you either call up or send an email or go on LinkedIn, find somebody that works at Coca-Cola in your area and send them an in-mail message and say something like, "Hi, my name is Len. I'm an Army veteran who is interested in working at Coca-Cola. I was wondering if somebody there might have an opportunity to grab a cup of coffee so I can find out a little bit more about your company." I did this a lot as I was making my transition, and about half the time I'd get no response, and about the other half of the time I'd get somebody to say, "Yeah, sure, we'll talk to you about it." On the employer side, it's really no skin off their teeth, right? It's not a job interview. It's just talking a little bit about themselves, and who doesn't like to talk about themselves, right? But for you, it's an opportunity to find out more about that company that you're interested in, and even more important, to become known to somebody who already works in that organization. Job seminars can be very helpful too. If there is a job readiness seminar in your area, you're going to go there probably with a bunch of other folks who are job seekers. You guys can talk to each other, get to know each other, and keep an eye out for opportunities for each other. Mentors is one of the areas in networking that I think us, especially as military folks, very familiar with mentorship, but we don't take advantage of it when we get out. Mentor, my definition of a mentor is simply somebody who knows more than I do about something, who is willing to share that with me. Doesn't necessarily need to be somebody older, doesn't necessarily need to be somebody in my field, just somebody who is willing to share their information with me. And they can be a great resource, a great networking resource for you because they have some experience that you don't. What I'd encourage you folks out there, if you take a look at American Corporate Partners, American Corporate Partners has a mentorship program for military folks transitioning and those looking to make their way into the civilian sector. You can go take a look there. You fill out a form. What is it you're looking for in a mentor? What are some of your requirements? They'll contact you, find out if you're a good fit, and then they'll try to hook you up with a mentor that meets your needs as much as possible. The big three out of those really, though, are networking events. This is high volume networking opportunity where you're going to get to meet a number of people in one short period of time. And those informational interviews, those are extremely valuable, especially if it's a company that you really want to work for. That is a great way to become a known candidate to that company. And then finally, volunteer opportunities. Great way to meet lots of new people. And at the same time, it gives you something also to put on your resume. So you don't have that gap in employment history in there. You now say, I've been working at the Red Cross for the past 6 months. It kind of adds to your resume as well. So now that we understand what networking it is and why it's important, let's talk about how to network effectively. Because if you're not doing it effectively, you're wasting your time, really. So before you go to a networking opportunity, you need to develop your brand and your core message. Who are you as an individual? How do you want people to perceive you? If I tell you just do it, everybody thinks Nike. That brand is really strong. What is your brand and what is your message? What is it that you want people to know about you? If you want to become a known candidate, what is it you want known about you to make you a good candidate for a job, for example? You need to establish a professional email account. I highly recommend a Gmail account, but if you have a Yahoo account, that's okay too. What I mean by a professional email account, stay away from numbers that might classify you in some way. Don't go with Joe Smith, 1962. Kind of gives people an idea that maybe that's when you were born, and it says something about you that maybe you don't want out there right away. Also, my favorite one, Sassy Girl 69. That was my favorite one at hotmail.com. If you're an employer, do you really want Sassy Girl 69 to come work for your organization? So try to keep it professional. The next one, especially for those of you out there that are looking for a salary position, and as student vets, that's probably all of you, you need to have a complete LinkedIn account. 96% of all recruiters and hiring managers use LinkedIn as a resource when they are researching and interviewing candidates. 96%, that's almost all of them, let's be honest. So if you're not there and you don't have a good, complete LinkedIn account, you're one person that they don't have to call. In one of our future webcasts, we're going to be talking about LinkedIn, how to put your LinkedIn account to work for you. So stay tuned for the dates and times when that one's going to happen. Also, get some networking cards, especially if you're going out to a networking event or one of those professional association events. You're going to meet a lot of folks. They're going to meet a lot of folks. How are you going to be remembered by those people? How are you going to connect with them later? Having a card, and you can see an example here from Linda K. Norris, having a card that has your contact information in there and a little bit of information about you, part of your brand on there, is going to make you a lot more memorable and easier to connect with down the road. And then finally, you need to develop a plan and set a goal. What is it you want to get out of this event? Do you want to get some information about organizations within the area? Do you want to meet some people in a specific field? Kind of set a plan for yourself so you know what it is you want to get out of it. Now, while you're networking, it seems obvious, but you'll be surprised how many people don't take this advice. You need to look and act professional. A lot of these, especially the networking events, are going to be at some bar, club in downtown or something like that. Grab a beer, that's fine. Grab 2, maybe that's a little too much. Grab 3, that's way too much. Okay, so you need to represent that brand that you want when you're at these networking events. Always ask about the other person. People love to talk about themselves. It makes them more comfortable. You can ask them some questions about themselves. And then, the natural thing, if you're asking somebody about themselves, the natural thing for them to do is to turn around afterwards and ask you about yourself. And that's your opportunity to become the known candidate to that individual. Try to find some common ground if you can. Do you both have kids? Are you both sports fans? Anything that you can talk about that kind of is more personable that you have in common is going to make the conversation easier. This next one is real key too. Don't try to work the room. You go to an event, there's 50 people there. Don't try to meet all 50 people. You're not going to have 50 quality conversations. It'd be much more valuable for you to have 10 really good conversations than to try to have 50 little drive-by conversations. And then the last one up there should be obvious, right? You want to share information about yourself, because at the end of the day, it's all about becoming the known candidate, right? And how are they going to know about you if you don't share information about yourself? Finally, this is where most people blow it when they're doing the networking, and that's following up afterwards. What do you need to do after you've met somebody? For your network to be effective, you need to not only develop that relationship, but you need to nurture it. And if you nurture it well enough, you'll be able to leverage it to your advantage down the road. So if you meet somebody, you have a good conversation with them, seems like it'll be a mutually beneficial relationship, you change cards, don't hesitate to send them a quick email. Say, hey, thank you very much for your time. It was nice talking to you about such and such. Connect with them on LinkedIn. That's one way to stay connected right there. I will tell you, the shelf life for these developing these relationships, though, is pretty short. You have 24 to 48 hours to try to make follow-up contact with folks before you're a memory to them. So, what I always did when I went to a networking event, as soon as I got home, I took out all the business cards, I laid them in front of me, and I sent connection requests to them on LinkedIn right away. Also, it doesn't hurt to make some notes of what you learned about those individuals. If you learn that Bob works for Sears and he's in the marketing department and he has twin girls who are 16 years old, write that stuff down so that when you send him a follow-up note, say, hey, Bob, great talking to you. Sears sounds like a great place to work and I'd love to get into marketing. I have a couple kids myself. I don't have girls like you do, so that must be a challenge. But, it shows at least you cared enough that you listened to the person and took some notes about them. Offer to give first, and this could be as simple as saying something like, hey, if there's anything I can do for you, please let me know. It lets them know that you're not just trying to be a taker, that you're also a giver. And then finally, setting up one-on-one. If you meet somebody and you think, hey, this is a person that maybe has some information they can share with me, or this is a person that works in an industry I'm interested in, send them a note, give them a call, say, hey, can we get together for coffee over the next few weeks sometime so I can pick your brain about job seeking? That's how you develop and nurture that relationship. That's how you become a known candidate to that individual. So next, I'm going to give you some tips for successful networking. Some people, it comes natural. Some people, not so much. I like to say that I'm an introvert by nature, but an extrovert by necessity. So I wasn't always so good when I went out to these things, but it was important for me to find a job, and now it's an important part of my job. And I learned some lessons along the way. So hopefully this will make it easier for you than it was for me. So here's some tips. I mentioned earlier, ask questions about folks. Listen to them. Listen first, and then you'll have your chance to speak. Ask them some follow-up questions. When they're talking, show sincerity and interest in what they're talking about, and do your, try to be genuine with them. I mentioned taking notes. A great way to do this, if you exchange business cards after the conversation is over, you can take their business card, flip it over, and write some notes on the back of the business card. Use their first name. And I would say also, put your first name only on the label. When you go to a networking event and they have those little name tags, you're not there to meet Mr. Johnson. You're there to meet Dave. So call Dave by his first name. My name is Len, not Mr. Harris. I put Len on my label because you're trying to meet somebody in a personable manner. The 3-step technique. This one is great, and it really does work. You go to a networking event, you don't know anybody there. Everybody is in small groups having conversations. You think it's rude to try to interrupt, but they're there to meet other folks. So how do you get yourself into this conversation? So let's say you have a group of 4 people talking. You walk up to the group, you stand about 3 steps away, you make eye contact with them as they're talking. If they tell a joke, you smile. If they're nodding their heads, you nod their heads. At some point in time, somebody's going to look over, make eye contact with you, and stop and invite you into the conversation. Works about 95% of the time. And that 5% that it doesn't work, you don't want to be there anyway, so just move on to the next group. Maintain appropriate eye contact with people. You want to maintain eye contact, but you don't want to get into a staring contest. That's kind of creepy. Always keep one hand free, and you'd be surprised how many people I have met at networking events, and they go there and there's usually some food, and they get a drink ticket, so they go grab a plate of food and they go grab their beer or whatever, and then they walk around trying to meet people with food in one hand and a beer in the other. How are you going to shake hands with somebody if you don't have a hand free? Introduce people to others. This is a great one too. So now you're in that group of 4, it's now a group of 5. You're having a conversation with folks, and you notice somebody out of the corner of your eye doing the 3-step technique, right? So you stop, you bring that person in, you say, hi, my name's Len, what's your name? I'm Dave. Dave, nice to meet you. I'd like to introduce you, and then you introduce that person to the other people in the group, even though you just met them yourself a few minutes ago. But now you have become a facilitator. You are a person who introduces people to other people. Isn't that somebody everybody else wants to know? 2-person conversations, I would tell you, be careful of 2-person conversations, especially if they're away from the main party. A lot of times, those are 2 people that are really involved in kind of a personal discussion. So I would leave them be. When they get done with whatever they're talking about, they'll come back to the rest of the party, and that's a good time to interact with them. Singles, if you see somebody by themselves, they can be a great resource. Maybe it's their first time at this event, and they're not one of those folks that's really good at networking. Go up and introduce yourself, and the first thing they're going to think is, ooh, thank goodness somebody's talking to me. And they're going to be appreciative of that, and they're going to share more information with you. On the other hand, they can be a bane as well, because sometimes the person that's all by themselves is all by themselves for a reason. Every once in a while, you'll get somebody that has a different agenda. Maybe they're there just to talk about their Spider-Man comic book collection, which is nothing wrong with Spider-Man, but that's not what you're there for. So sometimes you'll get stuck in that conversation where that person won't let you get a word in edgewise. They start to monopolize your time, and you realize that it's not a mutually beneficial relationship. A great way to end those conversations, by the way, simply stick out your right hand. The natural tendency for anybody is to reach out and shake your hand. That's your chance to say, hey, it's really nice meeting you. I enjoyed hearing about your Spider-Man comic book collection, but I want to get around and meet some more people. So don't be rude about it, but don't get your time monopolized by somebody who's not going to be mutually beneficial for the 2 of you. And the last thing, especially if you're going to an established networking event, it doesn't hurt your first time to introduce yourself to whoever the organizer is. That person is there at every one of these events and knows all the regulars. So you can show up, introduce yourself, and say, oh, hi, welcome. What is it you're interested in? Well, I'm interested in marketing. Oh, then you should talk to George. George over there works in marketing. She knows that, and she can get you started in the right direction right away. So Is networking that important? Networking is one of the most important, if not the most important, activities that job seekers need to master to be truly successful in your job search. And understand, this is from quintcareers.com, as you see there. Successful is not finding a job. Okay? Successful is finding the right job for you. If you want to find a job tomorrow, you could probably go drive at Uber. But is that success in your mind's eye? No. Finding the right job for you is the most successful way to do that is through developing, nurturing, and leveraging your personal and professional network. So here's my information right here. I'd encourage any of the folks out there, send me a LinkedIn request. If I take a look at your LinkedIn profile, I see you're a vet. I almost always accept those requests. If there's anything that I can do as you're getting ready to make your jump from student vet to employee, let me know. Also, if you're interested in our program here at Veterans Forward, which we're a nonprofit, so everything that we do for our veteran clients here is free of charge, feel free to give us a call. The number is 312-994-4290, or you can send us an email, vets@nationalable.org. I want to thank everybody who was able to join us live for this webcast. It will be available on our YouTube page for any of those that missed it, or if you want to watch it again. As we close, though, I cannot emphasize enough that if you want to be successful in your job search, it's not going to be sitting on the couch with your laptop and applying to as many positions as you can find. It's really going to be through developing, nurturing, and then leveraging a personal and professional network. And a lot of people don't like to do that. I understand that. But if you want to find success, that's really what you're going to need to do. And for those of you that are making that transition in the next few months, you're already behind the power curve. You should start building that network, 12 months before you make that transition. So it's never too late to start, though. Get out there, meet some folks, become the known candidate to them, and it's going to be a huge difference maker in you finding that position that you're looking for. I hope you can join us for our next webcast. Stay tuned to the Student Veterans of America Illinois webpage to find out the dates. We're going to be talking about resumes, and not just how to draft up a resume. You can ask 100 people how to draft up a resume and get 101 different answers. But we're going to talk about things like how long do recruiters and hiring managers spend looking at resumes, and what are the things that they look at, because those are the things that you should be emphasizing when you draft your resume. So hope to see you all then. Until then, thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.